Hello, my friends, and welcome back to a brand new Realm News. I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. Today, I am recording live from the Realm News studio on New Year's Eve 2024. Happy New Year, everybody, to everyone. It is 6 p.m. Central Standard Time in Kansas, which is located in the middle of the United States of America for those who are living elsewhere in the world. And I thought it would be fun to shoot this live and to record one last episode on the last day of the year. For those who could join me last minute, I thank you all for being here today. Thank you for being here live and listening to the show right now. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to get some time in. So whoever is listening, I will allow time to speak. You should be able to access the comments and whatnot and leave comments and chat amongst each other in the um Realm News Studio. If you accepted that link, you should be able to. If you're in here, you should be able to chat and ask me questions as well. And I'll invite you in if you are here um, to speak if you'd like. So we'll just do that a little bit later in the show. Now let's move on here. I won't be telling you in this my favorite update or drops of like the year. This isn't going to be a Minecraft review or anything like that. Honestly, I'll probably be doing something like that for Realm News' anniversary, but it'll probably be over what we covered, like a Realm News review in itself. And who knows, maybe I'll be doing something, a recap of 2024 Minecraft, but I wasn't really feeling that. So instead, I'll be reading you all my personal theory on igloos that are found in the snowy biomes in the overworld. Then I will read you the thoughts on the igloo from fellow Minecrafters. Shall we start the show, folks? Let's dive right in here, okay? Now, I don't have any fancy interludes or anything like that in these live shows, so we're just going to swing and segue right on in. It's been a while since I recorded an episode that had traditional segments because I've been kind of in holiday mode. And as I stated in Realm News Flashes, my work schedule and whatnot this time of year is just very frantic. So I've kind of had to scale down on my traditional format. However, this one's going to be a little bit different because as a live show, I haven't really done a real segment for you all, but I felt like it was appropriate for this. Since we're talking about igloos, it was appropriate just to give you a little bit real world knowledge on the igloo itself. And I found a great source at the Canadian Encyclopedia.ca titled Igloo by René Gadax. That goes on to say that the word igloo in the in Inuktitut language literally means house. The igloo was the traditional way of making a winter house across the Arctic regions for many people for a long time. And I do apologize for butchering that. And I did practice it beforehand. It's just I forgot it snuck up right there in the script. Inuktitut language. And anyways, this was what they used for traditional housing for, I don't know, hundreds of years until European housing was introduced and became the main style of housing in the Arctic regions. I mentioned winter house because in the summer, the Inuit people would make their houses out of tents in warmer weather. It wasn't made out of blocks of snow. There are many different styles to how an igloo is made, such as some people lay down animal hides in the interior like rugs, and some don't. Some entrance ways are flat topped, others domed, and some people prefer round shaped entrances. However, according to this article, an average igloo is about 3.5 meters or 11.5 feet tall to 3.5 to 4.5 meters in diameter, which is 11.5 to 14 and 3/4 feet in diameter for my fellow American friends out there, which is to me, a pretty decent size. That's a lot bigger than I had envisioned. They would make tools made of whalebones, such as knives and whatnot, to carve blocks of snow to form these igloos. Some larger igloos can hold up to 20 individuals in them. Isn't that astounding? And a fun fact that I learned from this site back in 2005 at Canada's, and I'm going to butcher this, so I'm just warning you, but Canada's Pavernitux Snow Festival, the largest igloo ever built was recorded. And it was 5 meters tall and 40 meters in circumference. It was able to hold. I'd like you guys at home. I'll just pause for 1 second or a moment for you to guess in your head how many people this could house. 5 meters tall, 40 meters in circumference, igloo. I'm pausing. Okay. Whatever number you had, you may be far off from this, or you might be close, but it was 400 people, which absolutely blew my mind when I read that. I was sitting here envisioning that because I used to do construction for a long time, and I didn't really do the math for cubic, and that probably would have helped because envisioning that is hard for me to envision 400 people can fit into an igloo. Anyways. For those going by standard measurements, that is 16, almost 16 and a half feet tall. Let's just round up 16 and a half feet tall and 131 feet in circumference for my American counterparts out there. That would have been just interesting to see, I think. Now that we have a very brief overview of the igloo, I would like to transition back over to the realm where we will be talking about more igloos and theories. We are now back in the realm, okay? And I would like to start this off by reading you a portion of an old Realm News episode. It was the 5th episode ever made, and it was released nearly a year ago, February 29th to be exact. It was Realm News' very first biome episode. It was just a fascinating one with the survival story of Ada Blackjack on Wrangel Island. If I remember right, excuse me. If I remember right, Ada Blackjack was stranded on Wrangel Island, which was off the coast of Canada, up near Canada and Alaska and Russia, up around that area. I can't remember the sea. I think it was the Baltic. I would have to listen to that episode. That was a year ago. And she was stranded on that island and survived, I believe, for 2 years, if my memory serves me right. And that was in the early 1900s. Fascinating story. And I did the best I could. My version of the story doesn't do it justice, I'm sure. From what I read, she was very heroic, just how she was able to survive there and get back to her son that needed her attention because of health issues back on the mainland. Anyways, go back and check that out. I thought it was a great episode and very, very interesting story. Now, in that episode, since we covered everything in that about snowy biomes when I made it, or I tried to cover it the best I could, I also talked about my igloo theory, which I still support. Some of my other theories have shifted in the course of the past year, but this one hasn't. I shall begin, and it's titled Igloo Theory, but I ripped this out of my script from that when I released this episode almost by verbatim, but I I tried to tweak it because this was one of my first episodes, and I was like, oh my gosh, why did I word it this way? So I did tweak it a wee bit, but this is pretty much by verbatim from what I read to you all back last year around February 29th, I believe I said. So, quote, hear me out, people. I developed this theory on the igloos. I posit that these are actually isolated research labs. These labs would have served as the last ditch efforts of the ancient builder civilization to find a cure to the zombie outbreak. That resulted from an ancient builder bringing back the zombie spore from Mushroom Island, as I call them. If you are confused on that theory that I'm talking about right there, I recommend that you listen to episode 2, Mushroom Island and Zombie Spores. That'll explain a little bit of what I'm talking about when I mention Mushroom Island. Anyways, going on, I can see the ancient builders picking these cold, desolate areas in the overworld to conduct their research for a cure, to prevent the infection from spreading. Also, the lack of diversity in hostile mobs would prove to be a safer place to conduct research. Now, I want to pause here for a second and break away from my own quote. And I blundered back then in this making of this episode because I misread the wiki article. I understood it when I first read it that um, hostile mobs couldn't generate out there except for strays. I was wrong. Mobs can't generate on snow-covered blocks. That's the difference there. So, when I was out in my world, I'd been out in that area in this igloo for quite some time. And so snow accumulated on top of blocks, and I think that's why the absence of hostile mobs around that area after the snow accumulated on top of the blocks just made me think, "Oh, hey, gee, they don't pop up out here." They can. So I apologize to those who I gave misinformation. I tried to correct that shortly after that in another episode with my brother, the Sun King. Anyways, I just want to pause and just recorrect that again. I don't like making blunders like that and misinformation. I try to do my best on that, folks. Now, I still hold true to this theory that I developed because my igloo did not come with a secret basement. And I kind of jumped to that because I found this article that talks about secret basements. Now, this describes some outlandish stuff that you might find in some igloos, or should I say, underneath them. This is written by Anastasia Mayo, titled Minecraft: Everything You Need to Know About Igloos, and that's found at gamerat.com, January 7th, 2022. So not terribly too far or too long ago. Igloos have much more to the surface than meets the eye, I go on to say. In fact, there is a 50-50 chance of igloos spawning a secret room under the carpet, which leads to a trap door, which goes to a ladder, then to a cool looking basement, according to this article. This basement has some wild stuff that you will find. Allow me to describe you what you'll find. Stone brick walls, which supposedly these are very rare for builders that like to find these particular type of blocks, which they are. You don't find them too often. I think you can find them in underwater temples. That's where I get them a lot, and maybe some jungle ruins, perhaps. I'd have to fact check myself on that, the jungle ruin part. But I'm pretty sure the stone brick walls you can find, or that, yeah, that underwater. But also, I want to give you a caveat. This in the underneath the igloo on your way to the basement, these stone brick walls. There's a caveat here. The block may be infested with silverfish. Now, let me tell you about silverfish real quick. They're the second smallest creature in the game behind endermites. The They reside in corrupted stone blocks, and they call them monster eggs. They are rare, but just be weary about them. They can do some damage. They might surprise you. Okay. Now, moving on to to the rest of what I said here. You're guaranteed to find a golden apple down there, and just to for reference for those who new to Realm News and the game of Minecraft, I have written down here for you all. When Ian, a golden apple, gives a regeneration rate of 2, which is accelerates restoration / health rate, and absorption increases, which helps in your defense. Now, the cost of making or crafting one of these golden apples, if you want to do one for yourself, is 8 gold bars and 1 apple, and that will yield 1 golden apple. Great deal. Just that's just I don't know, just expensive to me. Now you could keep that apple or use that to cure an imprisoned zombie villager. Yes, that's right. Isn't that crazy? I love when Mojang throws in absurd sounding things like I just mentioned. Yes, that's right. There will be two. Yeah, two. Not just you're going to cure one, but listen out. Uh, there'll be two prison cells down there with two zombie villagers, one in each cell. If you decide to cure one, you'll gain the zombie doctor achievement. Use the potion of weakness first in the brewing stand, then feed the zombie the apple, the golden apple, I meant to say. So that's what you do because there'll be a potion of weakness down in that chest as well. And so you're supposed to subdue the zombie with that by giving that to drink and then feeding it the apple. And then you wait 1 minute and 40 seconds and the villager will be cured. Voila. Then steal that brewing stand. Oh man. Yeah, I did that in a village several times. I won't judge you. Trust me. Go ahead, steal it. But isn't that cool, guys? This mundane igloo from the outside has a 50-50 chance of spawning a ton of cool stuff underneath it. If you want to find an igloo, the article goes on to say that the snowy plains biome is the most likely of them to generate igloos and the easiest place to spot them in, which makes sense. I mean, opposed to jagged peaks or some mountainous terrain, it's just easier to spot things in flat environments because they stick out more. It's quite obvious, especially since the igloo is white, like its backdrop. It's going to help to see, you know, a flat and then a horizon. It'll help. It'll help make it more stand out. Now, to me, that article reinforces my theory on the igloos being research centers for the ancient builders who were trying to find a cure. And perhaps that is what they did with the golden apple. But that cure only worked for villagers. No cure was found for the now extinct ancient builders. I assume that once the civilizations collapsed, the scientists in the igloo underground would have ran out of supplies and perished. Interesting theory, though. I couldn't help but speculate. End quote. And that's what I said in that episode almost a year ago. And that was episode 5. Go check that out if you're interested in it. Warning, that was one of my earlier episodes, and I was brand new into podcasting. I feel like I've gotten a little bit better. I feel like I've improved. Write in and let me know, please. Email me or send me a direct message and let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if my writing's is horrible or my show's is horrible. But or if it's great. I would love to hear that. But as I said, I still believe that these igloos were built as research centers to discover a cure for zombie affliction. Now, I'm going to jump into a Reddit post that I made a year ago and posted on Minecraft Lore's subreddit. Quote, not a good pick. I go ahead and start off, and it wasn't because most of my picks are from my cell phone because I play on a Kindle. So I none of I know if you see my photos, they aren't the best quality, and I'm sorry, my listeners who go to my Reddit and Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm sorry. Anyways, let me continue here. Quote, not a good pick. Laugh out loud. I don't know why my phone did that. Oh well. Anyways, has anyone else come across lonesome igloos in the attic with redstone tech? Early on in the world I started here a year ago, I was exploring and came upon this small igloo. I went inside and no one was there to greet me. There was a bed, windows, the torch, and I altered it much since, but you get the picture. My lore is that the ancients built these across the overworld as research labs to try to find a cure against the zombie outbreak that was going on all around the overworld. This one in the tundra would be ideal against zombies. High snowdrifts would slow them down along with the cold and whatever virus that caused them. Maybe dark arts. I'm sticking with virus or fungi. Anyways, just wanted to know if anyone else found these abandoned domiciles in any of those worlds. End quote. This was my first igloo that I have discovered, and the only one since then in my 2-year-old world. I think it was just fascinating. I love how Mojang incorporates these odd buildings in the game and with hidden basements underneath them. Such as the desert temple with its hidden treasure room underneath with all the dynamite. If you remember my desert episode, I explained all that. Yeah, that's fun, and I love that. I think that type of stuff is just very compelling to the video game to play. Now, I just want to say I just really love their imagination. I had a couple of commenters from this year-old post that I would like to read before comparing the comments to a post I made on the same thing just 10 days ago. Now, I will start with a person who goes by X even of cheese, who says, quote, "It's been in the game for several updates now. Relatively easy way to get a village going if you find one with a basement." End quote. Now, this was an interesting comment to me because I would have never thought about using the two imprisoned zombie villagers in the igloo basement to start a village after curing them. Yeah, I guess that's why they call me the Dark Lord. I probably wouldn't have cured any of them. I probably would have just kept the golden apple for myself that is down the basement. But I want to go ahead and say, very resourceful thinking, my friend. I guess all you would need is to make one more gold apple to save the other zombie villager. And since there's already one down there provided in the basement, voila, you have a village. I like that thought and comment, my friend, from 1 year ago. Now, let's move on to the next commenter here, who goes by UDAFX underscore 85. And they say, quote, "These are actually made by witches. Redstone is used for making potion effects stronger and last for longer. There's also a brain stand, the cacti in a pot, and the villager curing zone." End quote. I appreciate the comment and the evoking thought. Why couldn't this be a witch's hut, right? Well, to me, it is not Witch's Hut. And let me tell you why. If you recall the Witches episode that I produced and published back in October for in preparation for Halloween, then you would know that this does not fit the bill. The overworld witch prefers the swamps and mangroves, where they build their chicken-legged Baba Yaga style huts. And yes, it is Baba Yaga inspired. That was fact checked, and Mojang was inspired by Baba Yaga. And even, gosh, Monty Python and the whole scene with the witch, them talking about the witch. Check it out. Check out that episode. Now, the tundra would be a drastic change of environments for the witch and a complete change of house design. However, Perchta, in that same episode, as I explained, is a mythological witch who, well, not witch, I'm sorry, was originally a goddess, a mythological goddess who comes out during the 12 days of Christmas right now as I speak during this live show. For you listening to this a few weeks from now, sorry, 12 weeks is up, but it says that you survived Perchta, so great. Now, she's known to be the pagan goddess, right? I just said that, but I just want to iterate that. She was known to be a pagan goddess, not a witch. Also, the hut is missing a couple things, such as the cauldron. I want to say the igloo. The igloo is missing a couple things in this person's comment to it being a witch, to a witch's domicile. It's missing a cauldron, and it's missing its familiar, the black cat. I never saw a cauldron nor a black cat in the igloo that I discovered. Write in and let me know if you have discovered that in your igloos, but mine didn't have that. I highly doubt this is a witch's outpost or a hut. I just want to say that. but I love the comment and thank you for it. Those are the two comments that I received from 1 year ago on my Igloo theory post that I made on Reddit. Now, I posted the exact same question. Yep, copy and pasted. I copy and pasted it 10 days ago on December 21st, 2024. I thought it would just be interesting to see the responses in comparison to last year, and I received a few. I'll start with two commenters who engaged in a conversation with each other in this post that I find fascinating. Yes, this is these two's conversation. I asked if I could have their permission to talk about it. Oh, cool. Now, it goes starting with a person who goes by Kraken Space Writhing. Quote, so one thing that should be pretty obvious, just saying it, is the basement occasionally underneath the igloo is used to cure zombie villagers. It is likely one of the locations where the cure was discovered / refined, as it contains weakness potions and golden apples. Igloos are one of the few remaining structures after the prior apocalyptic events. End quote. Now, Mort Strudel goes ahead, another commenter, and replies to Kraken Writhing by saying, quote, I don't buy that igloos are ancient. Most of the ancient structures are heavily damaged despite being made of solid stone. You're telling me a hut made of snow is going to survive for hundreds of years untouched, unburied, not collapsed, and that a villager survived that long trapped in a cage? Seems way more likely that it was built by a villager of some sort relatively recently. I saw a theory video suggesting that it might be a villager who set off to study potion making, discovered a cure, but ended up banished for locking people in the dang basement and ended up settling the swamps to become a witch. That's more fan fiction than confirmed lore, but I'm certainly on board with the idea that it's a secret villager lab built by an eccentric villager trying to find a zombie cure. End quote. Take a moment to digest that real quick. This person, Mort Strudel, don't think that igloos are ancient, and they use the evidence that they don't appear to be damaged, suggesting that they've been built relatively new. And they also go ahead and say that a villager can't survive that long in a trap cage, or that's what they suggest through question. So they suggest that everything's relatively recent. And they use a theory of a villager who set off to study potion making and discovered a cure and ended up banished for locking people in a basement, which would make sense, right? I mean, that would make sense. I don't think the town, upon discovering that the lunatic out of the country out in the cold wilderness had people locked up in their basement. So, yeah, let's digest that for just a second. Okay. Now, I'm going to move on to Kraken Writhing's short response to Mort Strudel's elaborate one. They go ahead and say, excuse me, I would like to point out that the concept of dying of age might not exist. In addition, being pre-apocalypse doesn't mean it isn't a recent addition, end quote. Yeah, and I respond back to both of them, and I said, I like your thoughts on this. And I do. I like both. These raise some good points. I like how Mordstrudel is pointing out that these snow-made structures simply cannot last the test of time. They're using real world, applying real world knowledge to it. Now, they're correct in a sense, and I went ahead and looked online because I was curious. It struck my curiosity, folks. I wanted to know, could an igloo last thousands of years, perhaps? And I didn't write down any sources because it was just an overwhelming no, not on planet Earth. There's too many elements that will bring it down. If the temperature remains under freezing for like its lifespan, like a constant temperature, probably without wind and erosion as well, yeah, it could last forever. But that's in a perfect world, right? Or a vacuum, in a vacuum. However, that's not realistic on the earth we live on. And igloos are meant to be an impermanent structure for winter survival. However, if we take in consideration the comment left by Kraken Writhing with their statement saying that, quote, the concept of dying of age may not exist, end quote, as a response to Mort Strudel saying that the structure is recent because a villager could not live in a basement for hundreds, if not thousands of years, I like how Kraken Writhing is taking in the fact that this game does not play by the same rules that our physical universe abides by. You do not have to think too hard before you realize that Minecraft is a unique universe. And we see that the villagers don't age, right? So it really is a matter of perspective on how you view this theory. Some people may look at the igloo and apply a real world to the game to make logic out of it. Others may just incorporate the game's logic to the igloo and just use that to justify their theory. I like to analyze the igloo by applying real world knowledge to it with the game story. Both. I like to combine them both. We know that villagers don't age. So in theory, a villager could remain in one spot for eternity, right? That that in that world, if not killed by some exterior threat, they would just stand there forever. I think they would disappear if you broke their bed and they didn't have an occupational block. I don't think you can leave them just totally like on an island without anything. I think after a while they despawn if they don't have, let's say, a motive to live. They despawn out. I think so. But what I'm saying here is they will be standing there for a long, 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 long time unless something bites them or uh, a creeper blows them up because you're standing too close to them. And when the creeper tried to blow you up, and they were just a casualty. It was something. If something, it takes something to happen before they're wiped out, deleted. Now, also the biomes, they don't change in temperatures. I want to say, and you know this, or at least until we get seasons, right? Like everybody's speculating out there, which fingers crossed, that would be so cool. And I have a feeling those trees are blooming as well. And I do love all those videos I've been watching, such as like what Waddles puts out there and whatnot. And it's very suggestive that we may be getting seasons. And I'm all for it. But that yellow and black block, I have to say, that seems more like a bee. And I said that in a news flash shortly after. That looks like a bee thing, not a firefly. But anyways, I'm sidetracking. That's for another episode. They just I want to say now the biomes, they don't change temperatures. They just don't right now. Each biome and or sub-biome has its own temperature, but there is not a temperature range. It is just a static temperature all the time. I went over the temperature scale in the desert episode. It was fascinating. I'll probably do maybe a short. If you're a member, you'll probably be able to hear that. If you go sign up on my Ko-fi, you can probably you'll listen to that if I make it. But you'll have access to all those videos that I make. I have a bonus episode over the Nitwit, additional 17 minutes on the Nitwit that I just added there, which is really interesting. Anyways, it's just static temperature all the time in our biomes. It's either hot in the desert or icy, right? In cold places or in between. So, in theory, this igloo could remain intact in the snowy Minecraft biome because the temperature never fluctuates, is what I'm trying to say. Thus, the structure would never melt. Also, other game mechanics, such as snow stacking, have a certain height limit, right? There's certain limits in this game that don't exist on real world in our world. Now, there's no wind in the game. There's no erosion in the I take that back. I guess if you do step on some sand, there's erosion, and then they did put in like eroded um you can see erosion in badlands and stuff. I mean, they make it appear that erosion has occurred, but you don't actually see it. You don't witness it over time with our structures. You don't watch our structures age, is what I'm saying. It doesn't deteriorate before eyes. Everything's static, pretty much, when it comes to that. Now, so we don't have those elements that would destroy the igloo in if we're applying Minecraft physics, right? So in my mind, this could be an ancient igloo that has been around for thousands of years or since the ancient builder civilization collapsed, if you abide by that theory. Now, I would like to read off one more comment left on this post before concluding this New Year's Eve episode, and then I'll be taking comments in the live section after I conclude this. Okay, and I'll be letting people on to talk if they would like. So this comment is from Minecraft underscore suggestion. Quote, the most common theory, and honestly the one I believe the most, is they belonged to the witches when they were clerics who tried to solve the pressing issue of the zombie outbreak. It is possibly the reason the witches were kicked out of the village, not dissimilar from what we know of the illagers. Though it seems witches have no ill intent for the villagers. End quote. Looks like we have another witch comment, but a year later. I won't lie, I do like reading about this theory, even if I'm not aligned with it. It does kind of make sense that the witch was perhaps sent out into these Arctic environments to conduct research using their knowledge of dark arts in order to find a cure to the zombie outbreak. But folks, I just don't see it. I just don't. There's nothing about the igloo that suggests witch to me. I just don't. But I'm open minded and convince me. Talk to me. Yeah, I thank you for that comment. I really appreciate it. But now I want to take some comments and or whatnot in the live viewing area. And it looks like I have Wither King here, and they're writing in live. I'm going to type back to them and see what they think about all this. What do you think, Wither King? And thank you for being on the show. I was going to ask you if you had um any theories on the igloo. Well, folks, I can't tell if they can hear me or not. But and it appears I don't think they can. So I just want to go ahead and thank everyone that participated in the live event. Thank you for being here on New Year's Eve. I know that you could be doing other things, and it's just an honor to have you as a listener. And it's always, it's been my utmost pleasure to be your host of Realm News for 2024 for the majority of it. Realm News will be turning 1 year old on February 2nd. I could have made that technically, I believe, January 9th. That's when I released the first outro. No, not outro. It was my trailer. Not intro, outro, but it was my first trailer. And I believe that was January 9th. I published that on Spotify and it got a couple listens. And I was so excited. And I spent that rest of the month and I developed 3 episodes. The first 3 were developed in January. And the first one published on Groundhog's Day, which is February 2nd. I don't know what day that lands on. I'm pretty sure that's not a Tuesday or a Thursday. I think it's a Wednesday. And if that's true, then I'm just going to probably have the 1 year anniversary episode on that day before or after. And I might go ahead and make that live. I probably will. So I hope to see you all there. I It just makes me so happy that you all appreciate what I'm saying about Minecraft, and I love the game so much. It's just I'm happy to make this for you all. It's just been an absolute pleasure, and thanks for listening. And I'm ready. Realm News is ready to welcome in the year 2025 with you. And I'm excited to see what Minecraft has to offer us all. I think they have a lot of great stuff in store, folks. Honestly, I do. I don't know what you all think, but whatever it is, I trust that what the developers have and their creative, just their creativity is off the wall. So I've been happy with everything that they've produced so far. Seasons, that whole speculation, I do have my fingers crossed on that. I think that would be really fun. After watching and seeing the news about the add-ons with ambient noises and the music or sounds, I mean, sorry, not music, but sounds, nature sounds and whatnot. I just think something's going to be occurring. And with the trees, the Lego set, and the blooming trees, I have a good feeling. And so I feel like I'm rambling now, and I should probably go to a conclusion, which I will. And bear with me, I'll be reading my outro to you all, and I will be seeing you all this Thursday. Sorry, this is kind of my day's been all mixed up, folks. I've been on pretty much vacation mode since last week. I've had a lot of days off from my other job, and so I just kind of lost track of time. This is kind of a Realm News flash. Um, a Realm News flash / Realm News. This Thursday I'll go over that since this is a Realm News Flash. This Thursday is a Mushroom Island theory. So you're getting 2 theories this week. So I hope you like theories. I love them. So I'll be going over, it's pretty much the same format. I'll be reading off my theory, and then I'll be reading you comments from from other people and their theory on the Mushroom Island and whatnot. It's super interesting. I love hearing the Minecraft community and what they have to say. It's just amazing. So please tune in Thursday for that super fun episode, and I'll see you all Tuesday after that. Realm News Flash. The Dark Lord signing out. Hello, Realm News fans. I just wanted to pop back in here and just tell you all how much I appreciate you for listening to the show. It means the world to me that you tune in every week to hear me, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I'm honored to be your host and to be able to deliver you weekly original Minecraft content with Realm News Flash and Realm News on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you enjoyed the show, I would love it if you would tell your friends about it and tell them to follow it. Hit that like button and leave a comment. I know that on Spotify you can leave comments on individual episodes. Same on Good Pods. I'm not sure on all the other podcast player platforms out there, but I appreciate feedback. So please comment if you are able to. If you cannot, wherever you listen to Realm News, then you can by following Realm News at either its Twitter, now X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or email, which is all found at bio.link/Realm News, all lowercase. Again, that is bio.link/Realm News. There, you can also make a monetary donation by clicking on that Ko-Fi link. There, you can also hire me to do commission work, from writing personal podcasts for you, intros, outros if you are a podcaster, specialized messages or shout-outs to people you love or know, narration for audiobooks, script writing, ads, and much more. Find my prices at my Ko-Fi link, all found at bio.link/Realm News. I put in about 30 hours a week in research, writing, editing, marketing, recording, social media, and much more in creating and keeping up with this show.
The donations would help me eventually give up my second job so I can focus more on this podcast and deliver more content with better quality to you. I understand times are tough, and I don't expect anyone to give me money. I am just saying that if you're able to, it's very much appreciated. However, you can just show your support by just clicking and listening, liking, following, or recommending the show, as I said earlier. That means more than you know. With that said, I wish you all happy crafting, and I look forward to talking to you at the next Realm News. The Dark Lord, signing out.